Captain Ariana Vale had always believed that the sky spoke in its own language. The soft hum of the engines, the occasional whisper of turbulence, and the shifting dance of clouds were all parts of a conversation she'd learned to understand since she was 17. Now, at 29 and already one of the youngest pilots to command a major commercial airliner, she moved through the cockpit of Flight 907 with the calm confidence of someone who felt most at home above 30,000 feet. It was supposed to be an easy flight, smooth weather, cooperative winds, and a full but quiet cabin. Ariana checked her instruments with practiced precision. Her co-pilot, Jenkins, a friendly man with a perpetual nervous smile, broke the silence. Smooth day, he said. Feels like the sky's doing us favors. Ariana smiled faintly. Let's hope it stays that way. But skies have a way of shifting, and fate rarely respects calm mornings. They had been airborne for just under 2 hours when the cockpit door swung open with abrupt force. Flight attendant Lara, breathless and pale, rushed in. Captain, we have an emergency, she stammered. Seat 1-4C passengers collapsed. He's not breathing right. A doctor on board thinks it might be cardiac arrest. The world tightened around Ariana. Her training kicked in instantly. How long has he been unresponsive? Ariana asked. 3 minutes, maybe 4, Lyra replied. He's deteriorating fast. Jenkins looked at Ariana, waiting. The nearest scheduled landing point was over an hour away. Too long. Ariana calculated rapidly. Altitude, distance, fuel, terrain, options. Seconds mattered more than rules. There's a small emergency strip 40 miles south, Jenkins murmured, his voice uneasy. But it's military, completely restricted. Ariana already knew. She had seen the faint glimmer of metal structures below on her last scan of the radar. She knew the airstrip. She knew it better than anyone on board would ever guess. But that wasn't important now. That's where we're going, she said decisively. Jenkins blinked. Captain, that's unauthorized. They can deal with me later, she said sharply. A life can't. Lyra nodded gratefully and rushed back into the cabin. Ariana grabbed the radio. Flight 907 declaring a medical emergency. She stated, her voice steady despite the storm brewing inside her. Preparing for immediate descent. Captain Vale, came the air traffic controller's tense reply. Your nearest approved landing airport is too far. I'm diverting to Echo Sierra Base. There was a sudden crackle on the line. Negative, Flight 907. That is a classified military installation. You do not have clearance. Ariana. Set her jaw. Then stop me. She cut the transmission. Jenkins stared at her, both impressed and terrified. You know they're scrambling jets right now, right? Yes, she replied. But if we wait, that passenger dies. I'm not letting that happen. She began her descent, fingers dancing over switches with the fluid grace of muscle memory. The plane dipped smoothly despite the tension choking the cockpit. Clouds rushed upward like pale mountains as the aircraft sliced through them. Warnings flashed across her screen: airspace violation, restricted zone breach, unauthorized approach. She silenced them without hesitation. The silhouette of the military base grew clearer. Long gray runways, squat buildings, radar towers rotating like unblinking eyes. Soldiers already scrambling onto the tarmac as the enormous commercial jet approached. Captain, Jenkins whispered. They're going to arrest us. If it keeps someone alive, Ariana said, they can throw the whole rule book at me. She lowered the landing gear. The wheels locked with a solid thud. The runway alignment was perfect. She had done this kind of approach 1,000 times. Though not in a commercial plane, as the ground neared, she whispered under her breath, "Hold together. Just a little longer." The wheels touched down. With a powerful jolt, the landing smooth but urgent. Alarms wailed across the base. Soldiers rushed forward, armed and shouting. Jeeps rolled in from both sides. Ariana brought the plane to a stop and immediately unbuckled. She threw open the cockpit door and sprinted down the aisle toward the medics rushing aboard. The passenger, an older man, pale, lips tinged blue, was being tended to by a civilian doctor who looked overwhelmed. Get him to the base hospital. Ariana said, "You can't just—" A soldier began to argue. "I just did." Ariana shot back, stepping aside so the medics could load the man onto a stretcher, as they carried him away. A stern voice called out behind her, "Captain Vale, you have exactly 10 seconds to explain why you violated restricted airspace." Ariana turned slowly. She didn't know it yet, but this landing would reveal a secret she had spent years burying. The moment Captain Ariana Vale stepped onto the tarmac, a wall of armed soldiers closed in around her like a tightening noose. The dust from the emergency landing still swirled through the air, kicked up by the jet's engines, making the scene feel more like a war zone than a rescue. The soldiers' boots thudded rhythmically on the concrete as they raised their rifles in perfect formation. Ariana lifted her hands calmly, though her pulse hammered beneath her uniform. The base commander, Colonel Reeves, pushed through the line of soldiers. His face was hard enough to cut stone, and his uniform was immaculate, every crease sharpened, every metal polished to a mirror shine. "What in God's name do you think you're doing on my runway?" he demanded, voice echoing across the concrete. "Saving a life," Ariana replied, standing her ground. "A passenger suffered cardiac arrest." This was the only strip close enough to land in time. Reeves scoffed. "That doesn't give you permission to breach a secure military zone. You put classified operations at risk. You Colonel." One of the medics shouted from behind him. "We're transporting the patient now. He's still unconscious. Heartbeat unstable. We need clearance to reach the medical bay." Reeves jutted his hand out. "Escort them. And secure the aircraft. Now." Soldiers immediately split off to surround the jet. Ariana watched the stretcher disappear into a long corridor leading to the base hospital, relief softening her shoulders for a heartbeat. At least the man was in the right hands. Then Reeves rounded on her again. "You," he growled, "are coming with me." 2 soldiers stepped forward, gripping her arms, not harshly, but firmly enough to make a point. Ariana didn't resist. She had expected this. Jenkins, still trembling from the landing, hurried down the stairs of the plane. "Colonel, sir, it wasn't just her idea, Yes, it was," Ariana cut in firmly, shooting him a look that told him to stay silent. Jenkins' face flushed with shame, but he nodded, understanding she was protecting him. Reeves led Ariana across the runway toward a low concrete building with reinforced doors. Every step echoed with tension. Soldiers at every angle watched her, some suspicious, some curious. Unauthorized landings were rare. Unauthorized landings on Echo Sierra Base, one of the most classified aviation test sites in the country, were unheard of. Reeves shoved the door open, ushering her inside. A stark interrogation room. Metal table. 2 chairs. A single overhead light buzzing faintly. "Sit," he ordered. Ariana sat. Reeves leaned forward, palms flat on the table. "You triggered every security alarm we have. My cum's lit up like fireworks. I have half the Pentagon screaming in my ear. Do you have the slightest understanding of the trouble you're in? Asterisk. Yes, Ariana said evenly. But that man would have died. Asterisk. Reeves shook his head. You think heroics excuse protocol? You think saving one life justifies compromising a restricted site containing experimental aircraft? Asterisk. Ariana's heartbeat hitched, but she kept her expression steady. I didn't approach the hangars. I took the southeastern runway. It's isolated. Asterisk. That made Reeves freeze. How do you know which runway is isolated? Asterisk. Ariana remained silent. Asterisk. His eyes narrowed. Who are you, Captain Vale? I searched your commercial aviation file clean. Impressive, but not explanatory. No mention of military service. No connection to this base. Yet you chose a runway no civilian should. No even exists. Asterisk. Before Ariana could answer, a deep rumble filled the air, an engine sound unlike anything commercial. It vibrated through the walls, the kind of low thunder only advanced fighter jets produced. Asterisk. Reeves turned sharply. What now? Asterisk. The rumble grew louder until it became a deafening roar. A shadow passed over the interrogation room's window sleek. Sharp, unmistakably predatory. Asterisk. An F-22 Raptor swooped low, banking sharply before hovering into a vertical landing on a nearby pad. Soldiers outside scrambled, unsure if this arrival had been ordered. Asterisk. Ariana's stomach tightened. She knew exactly whose aircraft that was even before the cockpit opened. Asterisk. Reeves stormed out of the room. Ariana followed, escorted by guards. They stepped outside just as the pilot climbed down from the F-22 with practiced ease. Asterisk. Major Marcus Hale. Asterisk. Broad-shouldered, unmistakably confident, eyes sharp enough to see through a storm. The sight of him made Ariana's breath catch. Not from romance, but from everything he represented. History. Secrets. A life she had buried. Asterisk. Reeves marched up to him. Major Hale, explain yourself. You weren't scheduled to land and Asterisk. Marcus raised a hand, silencing him effortlessly. His gaze locked on Ariana. She's cleared to be here, Marcus said, voice steady. Asterisk. Reeves blinked. What? On whose authority? Asterisk. Mine, Marcus replied, and the Department of Defense. A gasp rippled through the soldiers. Reeves sputtered, Why? Who is she? Marcus stepped closer to Ariana, eyes never leaving hers. Ariana Vale, he said, isn't just a commercial pilot. She's Echo Sierra's former top-secret test pilot. One of the best this base ever had. Silence. Reeves stared at her, stunned. Asterisk. Ariana exhaled slowly. The secret she'd hidden for years, Asterisk, was no longer hers. For a long moment, nobody on the runway moved. The wind swept across Echo Sierra Base, carrying the sharp scent of jet fuel and the distant hum of engines cooling. Soldiers stared. Technicians paused mid-task. Even Colonel Reeves, a man carved from military steel, seemed momentarily speechless. Asterisk. Ariana Vale, quiet, composed commercial pilot standing there with her past suddenly pulled into the harsh glare of military sunlight. Asterisk. Marcus Hale closed the distance between them with long, deliberate strides. His flight suit bore the insignia of a decorated combat and test pilot, but his expression held something unreadable. Not anger, not triumph. Something closer to concern. Asterisk. Ariana, he said quietly, stopping a few feet away. You should have told them who you are. Asterisk. She lifted her chin. I told no one because I wanted out. You know that. Asterisk. Reeves stepped forward, eyes glaring between the two of them. Is someone going to explain to me why my runway was just hijacked by An airline captain who apparently has more clearance than half my staff? Asterisk Marcus didn't look away from Ariana as he answered. Because she's earned it. She has level V clearance. Or had, before she walked away. A hushed murmur rose among the soldiers. Ariana Vale, level V asterisk, that wasn't a classification tossed around lightly. Level V meant involvement in black-budget projects, aircraft that didn't officially exist, technologies still decades ahead of public knowledge. Asterisk Reeves swung his glare to Ariana. You were one of us? Asterisk Ariana's eyes dropped briefly. Yes. Asterisk, she hadn't planned to revisit the past, especially not like this. But the truth had a way of clawing its way out, especially when wrapped in steel and jet engines. Asterisk Reeves folded his arms. You have 30 seconds to explain why your file shows no military history. Asterisk Ariana exhaled. Because my service was off the books. I was recruited at 22, fast-tracked. I flew prototypes, ran simulations, tested failure modes. I was part of Project Night Wind. Asterisk Reeves's eyes widened. Night Wind? That was you? Asterisk Ariana stiffened. Memories crashed against her dark hangars, secret briefings, late-night flights with experimental engines that hummed like thunder. And Marcus, always there, commanding, confident, pushing her to be better while knowing she already was. Asterisk, yes, she said quietly. It was me. Asterisk Reeves rubbed his temples. Night Wind nearly broke the base. It was the most dangerous aerial project we've ever attempted. Half the pilots quit. One was injured. And you? His voice trailed off as realization struck. You're the one who flew the failed prototype back after the engine exploded. Asterisk Ariana swallowed. Yes. Asterisk Marcus stepped closer. She also saved my life that day. Asterisk Ariana flinched slightly. That memory was not one she enjoyed revisiting. The failed prototype. The fire. Marcus spiraling downward in a crippled aircraft. Her own jet shaking apart as she dove after him, matching his descent, guiding him through coms, refusing to lose him even as her cockpit filled with smoke. Asterisk. I did what anyone would do, she said. Asterisk. No, Marcus replied firmly. Not anyone. You? Asterisk Reeves looked overwhelmed, trying to assemble a puzzle he didn't know existed. If you're this important, why did you walk away? Why hide in commercial aviation? Asterisk Ariana's eyes shifted toward the horizon. The wind tugged at a loose strand of her hair. Asterisk. Because I was done risking lives for machines that weren't ready, she said quietly. Because Night Wind cost us too much. Because I wanted a sky that didn't try to kill me. Asterisk Marcus's jaw tightened. You didn't walk away because you were afraid. You walked away because you blame yourself for what happened. Ariana didn't answer. Reeves exhaled sharply. This is all very dramatic, but it still doesn't justify an unauthorized landing. Even with your past. Asterisk. She didn't land. For herself, Marcus said. She landed to save a life. That alone should override protocol. Asterisk Reeves snorted. And who are you to decide that? Asterisk Marcus reached into his suit and pulled out a folded document. The Department of Defense Liaison for Emergency Aviation Protocol Revisions. Asterisk Reeves hesitated. That title mattered. So you're saying she's protected? Asterisk. I'm saying, Marcus replied, that the rules allow discretion when a life is in jeopardy. And if anyone here has earned a second chance, it's her. Asterisk Ariana looked up sharply. A second chance? For what? Marcus met her eyes, and for a moment, the world around them blurred. For coming back, he said simply. For remembering who you are. Before Ariana could respond, a soldier jogged toward them, saluting. Colonel Reeves, sir. You're needed in the medical bay. The passenger, he's stabilizing. But the doctors want to speak with Captain Vale. Ariana's breath left her in relief. Reeves nodded stiffly. Escort her. The soldier motioned her forward. As Ariana began walking, Marcus called out softly behind her. This isn't over, Ariana. You can't keep running from what you were. She didn't look back, but her heart knew he was right. The medical bay at Echo Sierra Base looked nothing like a civilian hospital. Everything was metallic, efficient, and slightly cold walls lined with equipment most people would never see outside government files. Ariana followed the escorting soldier through sterile corridors until they reached a glass-walled room where the passenger lay hooked to monitors. Doctor stood nearby, murmuring over charts. One looked up as Ariana approached. You must be Captain Vale, the lead physician. Sighed. You saved this man's life. Ariana blinked. I only landed the plane. The doctor shook his head. If you'd followed protocol and waited for an approved airport, he would not have made it. Your decision gave him a chance. He's stable, but he'll need surgery. Fortunately, we have the facilities here. Relief washed through Ariana, loosening the knots that had tightened inside her since the moment the emergency began. She stepped closer to the glass, watching the slow rise and fall of the man's chest. Fragile but steady. Alive, the soldier cleared his throat. Captain Vale, Colonel Reeves requests your presence in the central boardroom, immediately. Of course he did. Ariana took one last look at the saved passenger, then squared her shoulders and followed the soldier deeper into the heart of the base. The boardroom was a cavernous space filled with long tables and high-backed chairs. Screens displayed classified flight data. Reeves stood at the head of the room, stiff as ever. Marcus Hale was there too, leaning against a wall with his arms crossed, expression unreadable. Reeves gestured her forward. Captain Vale, sit. She sat. Reeves opened a folder her file. No doubt, and for several moments, the only sound was the faint hum of electronics. You've placed this base in an unprecedented situation. Reeves began. Unauthorized landing. Breach of restricted airspace. Intervention by personnel who consider you an asset. Ariana kept her gaze steady. If you're going to discipline me, do it. Reeves closed the folder sharply. That's the thing, Captain. The Pentagon isn't interested in disciplining you. Ariana blinked. What? Marcus pushed off the wall and came to stand beside Reeves. They're impressed. More than impressed. Your landing was precise, controlled. And given who you used to be, it raised questions. Ariana inhaled slowly. Questions about what? About why a pilot of your caliber is wasting her talent on commercial flights, Marcus said. And why you left this base in the first place. The old ache tugged at Ariana's chest. Because Nightwind cost too much. Because the pressure never stopped. Because I was tired of being a weapon disguised as a human being. Reeves watched her carefully. No one denies Nightwind was a disaster. But that doesn't change the fact that you were one of the best pilots this base ever produced. Marcus nodded. They want you back. The words hit her like turbulence. Back into the world of classified missions. Experimental engines, night flights under a sky that felt more like a battlefield than a sanctuary. Back to the place she'd sworn she'd never return to. Ariana stood slowly. You think a single emergency changes everything? You think I'm suddenly ready to throw myself into another project like Nightwind? Marcus stepped toward her. No, but I think saving that passenger reminded you of something you forgot. Asterisk. And what's that? She asked. Asterisk. That you're a pilot who runs toward danger, not away from it. That you make impossible choices because you know how. That you were born for more than autopilot routes and commercial schedules. Asterisk. His voice softened. And that you're needed. The room fell quiet. Ariana stared at the polished table, memories swirling fire. Smoke, screaming alarms, Marcus's damaged aircraft spiraling toward the earth. Her own jet shaking violently as she dove after him. Asterisk. She had left because fear had taken root. Not fear of flying, but fear of losing someone again. Asterisk. Reeves leaned forward. No one is forcing you to return. But the Pentagon is offering you reinstatement or official clearance to continue your civilian career without consequence. Either way, you are not under arrest and your landing is forgiven. Asterisk. Ariana exhaled shakily. So this is about giving me a choice? Asterisk. Marcus nodded. Finally. Asterisk. She turned to the window. Outside, the sun was setting over the airfield, casting orange light across the parked fighters. One jet, sleek and powerful, gleamed brighter than the rest. Marcus's F-22. Her past wasn't a cage. It was a runway dot, and maybe, just maybe, her future still belonged to the sky she had once mastered. She looked back at Reeves and Marcus. Her voice was steady. Asterisk. I'm not ready to return fully. Not yet. But I'm not running anymore. If the Pentagon needs a consultant, a trainer, or a pilot for special emergencies, I'll consider it. Asterisk. Reeves nodded approvingly. Marcus smiled, something warm flickering in his eyes. Asterisk. Ariana stood straighter, feeling lighter than she had in years. Asterisk. As she stepped out of the boardroom, a jet roared overhead, leaving a trail of white across the darkening sky. Asterisk. She looked up, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel haunted by her past. Asterisk. She felt at home.